Hey everybody, welcome. Addicted to Gear, live again. Um, obviously, I think you guys know it's been a very, let's just say, a difficult week. Some of you might already know that my dad passed away. So obviously, very emotional times. It's felt the last week has felt like a month, heartbreaking, really is. But I want to thank all you guys that had sent out really nice messages. Really appreciate all of the comments and very very heartfelt. I don't want this show to be a downer. My dad was loving man, beautiful man. Got to live 88 years, and I got to be thankful for every minute that we got to spend with him. I don't think I'd be able to get through it without friends and family. Hope all you guys are doing well. It's nice to see everybody here today. I want to welcome you guys back. Definitely missed being live. So hopefully there won't be any more unplanned interruptions. Welcome Paul, welcome Fat Philosopher, Quicksilver, William, Alan. Hope you guys are all doing well. Hope your families are well too. Today I wanted to just go over, what's been happening with you guys the last week or so. Hopefully everybody has had some time to spend with their families, their guitars, their equipment, and hopefully you're using that in a positive way. I know that for me, without being able to play music, it's way cheaper than therapy. So definitely something that I've been doing a lot the last week or so. So I hope you guys are doing the same. As you know, I'm holding this guitar today. This is a guitar that I picked up just yesterday, and it's one of those things that I've mentioned in the past. I think guitars, for me, anyways, I think there's some kind of you might want to buy a guitar. You might have an idea, and you might see a guitar that's used or whatever that you feel you want to have. And sometimes, the deal goes through and you end up getting the guitar. And other times I've noticed, at least for me, I feel that the guitar finds me. Because in certain cases, there's no reason for me to have this guitar today. And I'll explain it to you. This is a guitar. This is a Hummingbird. It's actually an Epiphone. It's the first Epiphone I actually buy, and it's one of those inspired by Gibson Epiphones. I've always wanted a Hummingbird, a Gibson Hummingbird. The Hummingbirds are uber expensive. I think you guys know. I think here in Canada they're about close to $5,000, which is way out of my price range for an acoustic guitar. But ever since I was a kid, I saw a picture of Keith Richards holding this guitar. I think it was a black and white photo. And I just loved it. I love the parallel inlays. I love the beautiful burst on it. And it's a great looking guitar. And I always wanted one, and I never ended up buying one. Funny thing, I came across this guitar for sale, used, and the gentleman had just purchased it. I actually have the invoice right here. He gave it to me. It's not even a month old, this guitar. And I think he played it maybe twice or something like that. And I guess the fellow needed money. He ended up paying this guitar $1,286.57 a month ago. I ended up making an offer on the guitar, and it was basically half the price. And there was no reason for him to sell me this guitar at that price, honestly. I mean, he could have easily held on to it. He could have entertained other offers and whatnot, but he held on. He held on to it for me, and he sold it to me. And I would never have thought that he would have done that, because the guitar is literally brand new. There's not one scratch on this guitar, front or back. It's beautiful, you know. And these guitars, I know that the Hummingbirds were being made by Epiphone for a while. They had different versions, the ones with the big headstock. These are the ones with the new headstock now. The Epiphone, the older ones, were not the same. These ones now, they're totally solid. So you have a solid top, back, and sides. You have the parallelogram inlays that are not plastic. They're actually mother of pearl. It sounds great plugged, unplugged. You have a bone nut. You have a bone bridge. And it just sounds wonderful. Beautiful, rich. Great sounding guitar. So although I have a Martin, the Martin I have is has a cut here, and I always wanted to get a fuller sounding guitar, and these ones really do sound great. There's a plug in the back, so you can actually plug it in, and the controls are right here inside the sound hole. And it's just one of those things that it was just meant to be. I mean, I basically bought this guitar to have a memento of my dad's passing. I don't usually sell acoustic guitars very often. I think so far I've had, in my life, I've had 3 acoustic guitars. And I usually hang on to them. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to hang on to this one forever. This is this Epiphone is not made in the USA. This is made in Indonesia. This is their new inspired by line that they've come out with, and yeah, I believe the back and the sides ed are mahogany, the back of the neck also, and the top is sapele. And it's a beautiful, not a glossy finish. It's almost like an eggshell finish. It's semi-gloss. You can see that. But the burst is beautiful on it. And I think it's going to age really, really great. The guitar is set up perfectly. Very low action on the guitar. The gentleman I bought it from even changed the strings on it. He had it adjusted just recently. And I think the only thing that I would have to do with this guitar is basically just hydrate the neck a little bit, and just you know, it's very dry right now, so if I do that, but I think the guitar will age beautifully, and it's got the really nice tuners in the back as well. So this is going to be a guitar I'm going to keep for probably forever. I don't see any reason to sell it unless I have issues with it. It's a guitar I've wanted forever. And so you know, it's just the strangest thing, man. It's like I shouldn't really have this guitar today in my hands, but I do, and I'm very grateful for that. Let's see if anybody else here has gotten anything interesting. Yeah, the Mark, yeah, tons of body, yeah, for sure. Lots of nice low end. I mean, the microphone is not positioned correctly right now, so it might sound a little boomy, and I'm very close to the microphone, but you know, even plugged in, I thought it wouldn't sound great. but it does. It's got a Fishman, I think, a Fishman pickup, internal pickup here. So it should be good for live playing as well. And you know, often you deal with people that sell used stuff. They're not always honest. You know, like they'll list it. They'll tell you that they'll sell it to you, and then eventually if they get a better offer, they'll just sell it to someone else and say that they wanted to hang on to it. But this gentleman was very honest, and you know, you know, I told him, I think I let him know that the guitar was going to a good home, and he would definitely get a lot of playtime and a lot of appreciation. So yeah, you know, overall, I think that's the important thing. Guys, I just wanted to see if any of you guys now had any interesting gear acquisitions over the last week or so. And if you have, let me know. I have a few other things that I have in store, and I'll share that with you in a minute. Let's see what's going on here now. Now, William says, I got a Breedlove Andrew White and an Ibby Acoustic. I really love the Andrew White. It's spalted maple on all sides, real beauty. No doubt, William. I'm sure that it's really going to be, it's really a great guitar. You know, guys, honestly, I razz Gibson a lot. You know, I razz Gibson a lot because their prices are, I feel, just too expensive. And if you could end up buying this guitar for, let's say, $1,000 brand new, which I still feel is a little bit expensive. This guitar possibly, you know, according to me, should be around the $800 mark, okay? But there's no reason why a guitar like this would be, you know, 5 times less expensive than the original Gibson. I mean, it's the same woods. It's the same amount of time to build one. I know the labor costs, I understand, but 5 times more, really? I think Gibson has made a point of making these inspired by Gibson first run line that they've released for acoustic guitars really, really good, because I think they had to prove that, you know, if they're coming out with an inspired by Gibson Epiphone line, that it can't just be the same old Epiphone acoustics that they were putting out, that they should be a notch above. And that explains the solid top and sides. Makes a big difference in the sound. I've played a Hummingbird, a real Gibson Hummingbird in the store, and I came away like not convinced. I mean, obviously the price point would not necessarily, you know, it would really have to knock my socks off for me to feel like it would be great to buy a guitar at $5,000. And it didn't do that. But this one, immediately, I loved it from the first strum. So I honestly encourage anyone, if you're in the market for an acoustic guitar, and not just this one, they have a few other ones that are really great sounding as well. If you have an opportunity to check them out in the store, please do. You might be surprised at how good they sound. Tonefish says, my acoustics are both Eastmans, $350 budget player and a 1,500 slope shoulder dreadnought. Yeah, and I'm sure they sound awesome too, Tonefish. You know, there's a batting average that you get with certain guitars, and I think with the Gibsons, you can play, let's say, 5 or 6 different acoustic Gibson guitars, and maybe 2 out of the 6 will be like special, you know, and the other ones will be like, okay, not bad, but not great, you know. And I tried a few of these Epiphones in the store, and honestly, they were all good. So the batting average, you know, I tried, I think, 3 or 4 different models, and they all sounded really, really good. So, you know, the law of averages means that they're making these guitars really, really well. I mean, it's not going to be chance that you play 1, 2, or 3 guitars in a row that sound really good. I just wanted to put that out there in case you guys are looking at getting any kind of acoustic guitar or anything like that. Alan says the new X MG30s are available in the UK now. How do you find yours? I find mine extremely good, actually, Alan. Thanks for asking that question. Honestly, right now it's a toss-up between the Ampero 2 and the new X. They're both really good. They both have like positives and negatives. I'm gonna be doing a video on both. I'm probably gonna show you how I build my sounds in both. I'll do an Ampero one and I'll do a new X one. And along the way, I'll talk about what I like, what I don't like about them. I feel they're both really solid multi-effects units that I'm sure you'll be happy with either one. It's just a question of maybe what you are more comfortable with in terms of layout and how it actually allows you to put the sounds together and whatnot. There's a few quirky things with the Ampero that I found that I'll talk about in the video. But overall, it's a really great sounding unit and well built. They're both very well built, Alan. Dan says, I'm totally disgusted. I bought a Walrus Monument tremolo. Sounds great, but bypass switch bumps a click through the audio path when you engage and disengage it. Apparently known issue. Back it goes. Yeah, something like that would not be very, very practical. I don't think I've ever had that particular issue, but I did have a TC Electronics unit, the larger units that they were making a little bit further back. And what that would do, which was odd, it would, first of all, when you would engage the effect, it wouldn't engage on press, it would engage on release. So you would have to press the pedal down and then let it go before it would click and engage, which I found odd because it adds in like an extra second of delay before it switches in, and there would be a little bit of a cut between sounds, which I didn't like. So that also didn't stick around in my collection very long. Tonefish says, I have to sell something. I just ordered an American original 60s Strat. So what do you think is going to be on the chopping block, Tonefish? I too will have to sell something. I bought this recently, and I also bought my Edwards Gold Top recently as well. So there's going to be a couple of things that have to go as well. I just haven't decided what. Fat Philosopher says the Schecter OL acoustics have that Acoustasonic vibe, but sell for only $500. You know, Fat Philosopher, I don't understand why the Acoustasonics are so darn expensive. I know that Fender had come out with similar, very, very similar guitars not long ago, and they were selling for about $500. Now all of a sudden the Acoustasonics are uber expensive. You can get a Harley Benton version of one of those Acoustasonics for peanuts. I don't know if you know that, but they do have the acoustics that look like electric guitars as well. So if you're interested in one of those guitars, you can check those out. Kramer used to make them as well. I think it was the Kramer Farrington, I think it was called. But those guitars were plagued with issues. They didn't sound very good, and they didn't last very long. They kind of fell apart very easily. You can still find them now and then, but people normally ask too much money for what they are, and they usually require work. But it's cool to have an acoustic guitar shaped like an electric, sort of to give you that electric feel if you want to get a grab-and-go guitar that you want to just take with you and have the ability to strum. Like a guitar like this is pretty big. It's it's a fat guitar, so it's not the most comfortable thing, compared to an acoustic that's very slim. Cool Tune says, grab the Guild D24E at a Guitar Center for my Florida home, and $400 USD Damn, this thing looks and feels like quality. Low E got great boom. Yeah, for me, an acoustic guitar has to be balanced. The sound has to sound balanced, whether it's a big sound or a slightly, more condensed sound. It has to be balanced. I don't like acoustics that are all over the place. When you strum, you get, lows and highs all mixed up together. The Martin I have is extremely balanced. I had a Taylor for a while, which was a really nice playing guitar, but I found the sound was a little bit too homogeneous, if I can use that word. It was like it didn't have like as much dynamics, I feel, as this guitar or the Martin. The Martin has really nice zing to it. John says, I bought a Lefty Les Paul copy, brand new, 470 Australian dollars. I paid half. That it was customer return, snapped pup switch, and they included the replacement switch. It's perfect. Besides that, that's a cool deal, man. There's not a lot that can be fixed on a guitar. If there's an electronic issue, a switch issue, pickups or whatever, no big deal. Tuners, no big deal. As long as the neck is good. If the neck is warped or there's an issue with the neck, then don't waste your time with it. Quicksilver says, I no longer ship stuff outside the EU, if only because the shipping is annoying and don't want to keep walking to the petri dish known as the post office with the EU. I can ship courier. Yeah, I agree. If you don't have to mingle with germs, then stay away. I love the parallelogram inlays, Cool Tunes. These are the inlays I've always loved. Ever since I saw them on Jimmy Page's double neck guitar, they're like awesome. So I really, really like them. Just scrolling down here. Hey Gary, thank you, buddy. Thank you very much for your condolences. I really appreciate it. It's amazing. You guys are amazing, I gotta say. Like, we've never actually met in person, but you guys just so many of you reached out to me, and I was not expecting that, and it really made me feel like there's great people out there. There really is, and I appreciate that very much. Fat Philosopher says, I think I will only buy a Gibson or PRS unless I find them used. I would strongly recommend getting them used. By all means, Fat Philosopher. I rarely buy a guitar new anymore these days because honestly, unless there's something very, very unique and special about it that I can't get, if it's a one of and I can't find that guitar, or if it's an old guitar or whatever, vintage guitar, perhaps, but not if it's a brand new, a run-of-the-mill production line guitar. I'll just wait and end up getting them used. There's no reason you can't save your money and put it towards something, the extra money that you're going to pay buying a guitar brand new, put it towards something else, Jeff says, I bought a few bits of gear lately. Tide Pool Blue made in Mexico Strat. Very cool. Congratulations. He says he put locking tuners on it yesterday. A Friedman BE Mini. Very cool. And upgrades for my Harley Benton SC Junior. A Lawler P90 and a Music Lily bridge. Awesome, man. So, you're getting a very nice collection there. The Friedman BE must sound monstrous. Those mini Friedman amps are great. The Harley Benton SC Junior, one of my favorites. I have one here. I have not changed out the pickup yet. The P90 that's in it now sounds okay for now. Eventually, I might upgrade it. And a Music Lily bridge. I did exactly the same thing. I opted for a wraparound bridge. The bridge that they put on that guitar, for some reason, it's very like it's a well-made bridge. It's very solid. It's not a cheap looking or a playing bridge. It's just not the right bridge for me because of the adjustable saddles on that thing that just it's big, it's tall, and it basically scratches your hand. And the bridge I put on it is beautiful. It's a wraparound, simple bridge. It plays better in my opinion. It sounds better in my opinion, and it's so much more comfortable to play. The only thing I was considering doing to that guitar, because I have the white one, Jeff, is I wanted to paint it eventually, and I was gonna paint it like a red sparkle type of thing, more of like a vintagey color. And I might still do it, but not now. It's too cold. Maybe in the spring. Yesterday and the day before, we hit lows of about -35 with the wind chill. Today's a bit warmer. My truck won't start. The battery's completely dead. So it's definitely not the right time to be painting with this cold weather. Hey Charlie, thank you, buddy. Thank you so much for your condolences. I appreciate that, man. There's a new color for the PRS SE Custom 24 Lefty. Black gold went under the radar apparently with all the hoopla about the Silver Sky SE. Interesting. I didn't see that one, Quicksilver. There definitely was a lot of hoopla around the Silver Sky. Actually, it died down really quick, I think. But there might be more coming. Interesting things coming out of PRS. So definitely we want to try and see what other cool offerings they have besides the Silver Sky, because the Silver Sky is taking the spotlight. But I think it's going to die down very quick. When we start seeing the Silver Skies on the used market, I might consider one. For now, like I said, the colors that they came out with are not, they don't talk to me very much. But if they come up with another line of colors, and I expect they will, probably towards the end of the year or something like that, I'll take a look again and reevaluate. Alan says, thanks, I'll wait for your reviews. Cool. I'll have them up very, very shortly. I promise. Presley says, when my dad passed, I inherited his Strat. It changed my life. Hey man, hopefully, that Strat allows your dad to live on indirectly through it, and I'm sure he's happy you have it, and happy that you're still playing it. Good morning, Mark FX. Fat Philosopher says he bought a Legato Airbridge cordless this week. Works fine so far. I'm not going to over abuse it like I did my last cordless. I'm still using, what am I using? I'm still using the NuX cordless devices from time to time. I sometimes forget I even have them, but from time to time they come in really handy. It's nice not to have the wires in the way, and if you're in a tight space and you have all kinds of cables and stuff, if you're like me, you probably, if you'd see what I have here, you'd be flabbergasted, I think. So it's nice to be able to have cordless sometimes. Quicksilver says, I miss the old Lake Plastic blue that the Made in Mexico fenders used to come in, but the Tide pool is close, more greenish tint. I was thinking of getting one, but I already have a 70s Squire. You can well, again, it all depends on your level of comfort, Quicksilver, but you can find some really nice Lake Placid blue bodies that are already painted and everything, and just put yours together. You know what I mean? Or even swap the guitar body you have. If you find one of those bodies, they're going to be a drop-in replacement if they're using the Fender specs, and you can just sell the body you have on your guitar and recoup the money, and you probably even come out ahead with a bit of extra change in your pocket if you really want to get the Lake Placid blue. It's a nice color, I have to say. Dan says he dismantled his whole board yesterday, switched power supplies, changed cables, Tried with different amps, put the pedals in solo to test, same darn thing. So Dan, sorry, I guess you mentioned you were having a problem. I think I might have skipped that. So let me just go back. Maybe I can help you with that, depending on what the issue was. Okay, so is this going back then to the issue with the monument with the switch? Is that what you're trying to resolve, or is it something else, Dan? Sorry, I'm gonna go back quickly and just see if Dan mentioned anything else. I want to help him out if I can. It could just be that one. That could just be the question that he was talking about there. I think that was it, right? Anyways, if it's not it, then please repost your question, and I'll try to answer that. Quicksilver says, I have a set of Tone Rider HSS with Alnico 2s. I may just change the pickguard as the whole rather than move pickups and electronics. If you do that, though, you have to make sure that the holes on the pickups on the pickguard line up. Otherwise, you're going to have to drill new holes. They don't always line up. I'm sure you know that. And that will be an easy way to keep what you already have on your pickguard and then switch back if you need to. It's a lot easier than having to switch everything over and overheat all the pots, because then they tend to not work very well after that. That's what I did for my Sir. I ended up changing the entire pickguard. Tonefish says, I bought a Firefly on a whim. I put Planet Tone pickups in it. They're fantastic. Shipped faster than expected also. Cool. Planet Tone, huh? I didn't try those pickups, Tonefish. I don't really know them that well. What model pickups did you actually decide to put in there? Was there a specific model? Because they're not always winners, right? You know, sometimes different pickup manufacturers will have one or two pickups that are really great, really stellar, and then the other ones are so-so. So maybe you happen to stumble on a really nice set. And Quicksilver says, wanted to change the pickguard from budget faux tortoiseshell pickguard to mint green. Yeah, that's a nice option. I like the mint green. I have that on my road worn Strat, and I think it looks super. Hey Kushman, nice to see you, buddy. I have plans on changing my pickups on my PRS core line, and actually, I might as well share that with you. I got a set of these no wax pickups. I don't know if you guys know these this brand. Charles here turned me on to them, and these are made in Germany. And Martin over at No Wax makes some killer pickups, and he sent a set over to me for my PRS, and these are vintage spec pickups that I want to drop in. These are, the model is a classic PAF. I don't know if you can see that there. Again, with really beautiful covers. I always like the raw nickel covers, and they look amazing. I hope that they will sound amazing. I'm sure they will. And they're going to go into the PRS core model that I've been kind of struggling with in terms of the sound. And according to the brochure, it says that the vintage output classic PAFs are the holy grail for fans of classic double coils. The classic PAF transfers a very pleasant, crisp, and dynamic sound, and this set delivers those myth enshrouded guitar tones of the 50s including fizzy cleans, super sweet overdrive sounds. The hand wound and unwaxed, no wax version adds some extra overtones, and the set is matched in order to avoid volume and frequency jumps when switching pickups. This set is perfect for lovers of zappy humbucker tones. So I'm hoping that's exactly what I'll get for my PRS, because I find that the pickups that are in that guitar, the SC245, the core model, they're not bad, but they're just, I feel like they just lack a little bit of extra oomph, and I'm hoping that that Martin's classic PAFs here are going to give me that sound. I mean, if they don't, they might just end up in another guitar, but I've been struggling with getting the sound from that guitar since I bought it. It's a great guitar, it plays great, I gotta say, but I'm very, very picky about pickup sounds, as you guys already know. And I'm not gonna rest till I find the right pickups, because it really makes a huge difference. And it really brings the guitar to life once you find a great set of pickups. You know, I did the same for my Sir. You know, like you would think that automatically you would bond with the pickups that come with it, because they're Sir pickups. I mean, I know they're not bad sounding pickups, but they weren't what I was after, and they really were stopping me from enjoying that guitar to the maximum. And it's not a cheap guitar, so I didn't want to sell it. And I didn't want to not play it, you know, because it doesn't make sense to have a guitar that's a great playing guitar and not enjoy playing it. So I ended up changing the pickups out of that guitar, and I put a set of Porter Gatekeeper pickups in it. And if you guys don't know, check them out. The Gatekeepers are their budget line. Porter make great pickups. They have a great variety of different pickups. Brian over at Porter can help you select the right pickup for you. But he had a budget set that that he wanted me to try, because he was extremely proud of them. And I put them in the guitar thinking, okay, I'll try them out. And then, of course, if I don't like them, I'll remove them. But they sound really awesome. They sound great. And they're still in there. I haven't taken them out. So, you know, people look at me strange when I tell them, you know, I have a $4,000 guitar and I have, like, you know, pickups that typically cost like $100 a set. They don't understand. They look at me with that face like, are you sure? But I mean, if it sounds good, it sounds good. I'm actually going to have Brian on the show. He's going to come on the show, and we're going to talk about, you know, the black magic voodoo that he does with his pickups to get those great sounding tones that come out of them. So if you guys are interested in pickups and perhaps looking for pickups, you might want to tune in for that show, that video that we're going to post. And he can probably, well, he can definitely point you in the right direction, but he might enlighten you with some information that perhaps you didn't already know about, you know, selecting pickups and what to look for in terms of tone. Tonefish says they sound like my PRS 5708s. That's a pretty impressive thing to be saying, Tonefish. I know the 5708s, everybody like raves about them. And they're not cheap. So if they sound as good as those, I'm going to have to check them out. How much did they cost you, Tonefish, if you don't mind me asking? I'll take a look at the information after the show, but just so I know. Hey Jamel, nice to see you, buddy. Gospel of Mark says PF tone is just the best to me, just so sweet, low output. I do agree with that. I think I have a set of low output pickups in my PRS, one of my SEs, and it definitely opens things up when it's low output. It doesn't feel as congested, and it gets, I think it brings out the natural overtones a little bit more. I think it's what it is that the pickups are the sounds that you're getting is not just the pickups. I think the pickups are also working a little bit more to get the sound or the resonance of the guitar out. It's not burying that in an overpowered pickup, if you know what I mean. Larry says, anyone ever upgrade a pickup but the original one sounded better? Of course, Larry. It's happened to me many times, and I don't hesitate to go back. If a pickup sounds better, yeah, go back to the original. I keep everything till I'm convinced that I've made the right decision. And sometimes, Larry, what I've noticed is that a particular pickup might not work well in one guitar, but you pop it into another guitar and it just sounds right. So it's not just, in my opinion, it's not just pop this pickup into a guitar and hope for the best. I think it's also, is it a good match for that particular guitar? Mark Plaintone.com products, 1959 special humbucker. They have 59s. I went with a lower output 57s. I'll take a look at that. Thank you, Tonefish. Christian says no wax pickups are great, very dynamic. I put the classic PAFs in my new Telecaster. Yeah, and I gotta thank Christian for bringing these guitars to these pickups to my attention, because I wouldn't have stumbled on them without him. So I'm hoping, Christian, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, buddy, that they're gonna do the job. And if they do, man, I thank you, because again, I've been trying to squeeze out the tone that I want out of that guitar for a long time. And I know I'm not going to sell that PRS because it's a great playing guitar. It just plays like butter. There's no reason for me to sell it. But I want to get those pickups to sound right. So hopefully these pickups do the job. Cool Tunes says the same with my PRS CE. I would like some more from those pickups. I think I've said it before. I think the PRS pickups are, sometimes you get lucky and you do get a really nice set right out of the box. But often I find that for whatever reason, they're a little bit lacking. Could also be the fact that PRS guitars in general have a different scale length. So perhaps it does change the sound a little bit. And I think our ears will pick that up. And maybe that's the reason why, that could be the reason why the PRS pickups don't sound right. I'm not saying they don't sound good, but maybe there's a little aspect of the scale length that maybe changes the sound. I'm not really sure. Mark says they have the 5815s. That's what is in my Custom 24. They're kind of just okay, maybe too modern for me. Interesting. Okay. I too, Mark, I'm looking for more of like a more of a vintagey sound, more of a classic sound. I don't really need that modern sound, so to speak. Leo says, put the Marzios in my Fender Aerodyne bass, thinking they'd sound even better than the stock Fender vintage ones. Boy, was I wrong. So that's interesting. I think a lot of companies do, Leo, put a lot of attention and time into matching pickups with their guitars, as well as, companies that make amplifiers. I think they take the time to match speakers with their cabinets as well. So sometimes we look at it and we see like a speaker that may not be a Celestion speaker or something like that, and we think, this is not going to be the right speaker for the cabinet. But I think they've done their due diligence and they've selected what they think sounds the best. And sometimes it's happened to me very often that I'll change a speaker in a cabinet thinking it'll be better, and for that particular cabinet or that particular amplifier, it's not the right match. And I think it's the same for pickups. So often you might be surprised that the pickups that actually came with the guitar actually are a better match. Jeff, asks, what is the damage on the replacement guard for the Sir? It's expensive, Jeff. I think it ended up costing me with shipping taxes and everything over $100. It's expensive, man, and that's just a pickguard, right? You're looking at a piece of plastic that probably costs them like $8 to make, you know. But it is what it is, sir. You know, it's not any worse than. Have you ever looked at the cost of replacement knobs for a PRS guitar? Dude, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, man. Take a look, just for shits and giggles. Go on, but don't look for like a OEM. Like go for the original PRS knobs, and look at the cost and report back to me, okay? You're gonna see it's ridiculous. Fat Philosopher says, "What's the most anyone paid for a pickup?" Me, about $170. Yeah, I mean $170, $150 is sort of the going rate for a decent pickup these days, I would say. You know, you can pay well over that for sure, but you should be getting a good quality pickup for about 150, $170 a pickup. I love when I get a pickup that sounds really great and is like very dirt cheap. You know what I mean? The Tone Rider, City Limits for a Strat, man, I love those pickups. I say that over and over again. Gatekeeper pickups are great humbuckers as well. Very inexpensive. You know, those are the ones that come to mind for inexpensive pickups right off the bat. But there's a lot of great pickups floating around out there. Actually, I just finished recording some sound samples for the Pariah Franken set that I put into my the build that I made, the Franken Strat, and I've been meaning to record some sound samples of those pickups for you and put them online. So I recorded those yesterday. I'm putting the video together, so it should be out probably this week. If I can squeeze another video out, I will. They sound great, and if anybody's looking for a good quality pickup for a Frankie build, check out Pariah. They make some really nice, authentic sounding pickups, and in their Pasadena line is what you want to check out. Tonefish says they're $65 each US. I caught a New Year's deal, like 15% off. Exactly. So isn't that crazy, Tonefish? Quicksilver says, I pre-ordered the PRS SE Black Gold from Toman. I want to slap the 5909 pickups on it. And how much did that cost, Quicksilver? Just if you don't mind me asking, how much was the total price of the guitar, including shipping and everything? I spent, BC Rich 581 says, I spent a little over $300 for a pair of vintage voice PAFs from my Black Beauty plus a Fat Cat as a middle pickup. So I guess it averages out to around 170 per. That sounds about right. Sounds about right for pickups. Hey, Steve G. Good morning, buddy. Ben, I love it. I love the Epiphone that I have here. It really is a gem. It really is a gem. I have no complaints on this guitar so far. It just sounds wonderful. It plays so well. Balanced sound. It's got a really nice sound. I'm a little bit too close to the microphone. A great guitar. I'm gonna love this guitar for so long. I've been playing it nonstop since I got it, and it really encourages me to play more. And honestly, I really should be playing more acoustic guitar. Concentrate on chords. Concentrate on melodies. It's a great guitar. Hey, Cohen, nice to see you. How you doing, buddy? Presley, California Custom says I usually pay $250 for a loaded Strat pickguard with Duncans or EMGs or lace. The lace sensors were pretty popular back in the day when David Gilmour started playing them. I remember everybody was kind of intrigued, and if I'm not mistaken, I think even Eric Clapton at one point was playing them. And Mark says the 5909s are so good. They are. I'm sure they're really, really good. From what I understand, they really are. But they're not giving them away either, eh? If you come across a set, maybe save yourself a couple of bucks if you buy them used. But I know they're brand new. They're pretty expensive. Might be worth it though if they sound that good, you know. Ha! Cohen's playing card games with his daughter. No worries, Cohen. Cool. It's good to spend time with your family. And Jeff says that he put in Iron Gear Blues engines in his Custom 24, great improvement. I sold the 8515s for £30 more than the Iron Gears cost me. I've done the same with some Iron Gear pickups. I put the Tesla Sharks into my Tokai Black Beauty. I have a video on that. Although the original pickups that were in there, they were Goto pickups, and they sounded great too. So the new pickups sounded good. The older pickups, I think, were not waxed potted, so they did sound a little bit more open, which in a sense I kind of like. But I ended up putting the Goto pickup into another guitar build that I made, so they're still being used. But I like the way they sound. I like those pickups a lot, and they weren't that expensive. The thing about the Iron Gear pickups is that they do look like they're a good bargain, but unfortunately, with duties and exchange and VAT taxes and all that kind of stuff, they're not that much of a deal anymore. At least not for Canada. So I'm always looking for other places where you can get good pickups that are not that expensive. If you guys know any, let me know. Yeah, you can always recycle the pickups, Mark. Put them into something else. Exactly. That's what I normally do. If I have an expensive, let's say I have like for example, I changed the pickups on my Telecaster, on my vintage reissue Telecaster. I kept the pickups because I know if ever I do sell that guitar, and I may sell it one day, they're going to want the original pickups. So even though the pickups I put in there sound better, I'm going to keep the original and probably return it back to stock when I get a chance, you know. If ever I need to, that is. Cohen says my acoustic build is advancing pretty well. Sides are bent, soundboard and back are ready. Next step is to glue in the curved lining. Nice to see that's coming along, man. Hey Cohen, you might have an answer to this question, because I was thinking about this, and I know there's certain ways of doing this that I'm aware of, but maybe you might have a little bit of a trick for me. I'm just wondering if you want to darken a fretboard, for example, this fretboard needs to be hydrated. Once I add some mineral oil to it, it's going to get a little bit darker. But if anybody has a guitar that has a light fingerboard, because now, they're not really shipping too many guitars with rosewood fingerboards. They're usually shipping them with Indian Laurel or Pau Ferro or different things that look similar to rosewood but are not really rosewood anymore. Sometimes you end up getting, I've seen some fretboards that are a lot lighter than others. And I have a friend that was asking me, how I would go about darkening the fretboard. And there's different ways of doing it. Obviously, you can oil it. That already will make it a little bit darker without actually changing the color. And I know you can also get some dyes for fretboards. So if you want to, for example, if you want to make your fretboard look like it's an ebony fretboard, you can use black leather dye, and that'll definitely change the color and make it a lot darker. But those are pretty extreme ways of making the fretboard darker. And I don't think that not everybody is going to want to make them that dark. They just might want to make it a shade or two darker. So there's little tricks that I know exist, like there's the shoe polish trick. There's Monty's Guitars makes, I guess it's a little concoction that's very similar to shoe polish. It's probably just a different version of shoe polish. It's basically a little tin that he makes that he has, that you can add this waxy substance, waxy oily substance to your guitar, and it will make the neck darker. I haven't tried that yet, but I'm pretty sure it's very similar to shoe polish. So I'm wondering if anybody else, Cohen in particular, since he works on guitar builds often, if you know of any other ways that you can darken a fretboard without being too drastic or overly dangerous. Randy says no, potting, microphonic, possibly. Well, for the no wax pickups that I was talking about earlier, yeah, they're not potted, they're not wax potted, but Martin says that he's kind of figured out a way to create a pickup that is open sounding, not wax potted, and doesn't feedback. So that's kind of his secret sauce. So that's why I wanted to try out those pickups and see how well they perform, especially since they're not wax potted, and I really do like pickups that are not wax potted. House of Twang says, I tried to like PRS pickups. Uh-oh, I see where this is going. There's so many people that have talked to me and started a sentence exactly like that. I tried to like PRS pickups, had a Mura CU22 with Dragon 2s, CU24 with VBS, and then swapped to 5909s, gave up and sold them all. Then found a McCarty with Duncan P90s, and man, it does it for me. I totally understand, man. I get what you're telling me. The Edwards guitar that I bought, the gold top, has P90s from Duncan, Seymour Duncan in there. They sound great. I was just playing it yesterday. Sound really, really good, and I don't expect to have to take those pickups out. So now, the question is, I have an Edwards gold top, I have a Harley Benton gold top, and the Harley Benton gold top, I did change out the pickups in that one from the stock pickups. Wasn't a huge difference, but to my ears, there was an improvement. It was subtle, but it was there. So now the question is, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna end up selling the Harley Benton gold top, because the Edwards gold top to me is just feels better. It feels, how can I put this? It feels like a vintage guitar. Whereas the Harley Benton is not a bad guitar at all. It's a great guitar, solid guitar. But it doesn't feel like an old guitar. It feels more like a modern guitar. So for me, just that feel aspect alone, I would have to, if I had to choose, obviously it would be the Harley Benton that would have to go. But it's still a good, solid guitar, and I highly recommend them if you're looking at an inexpensive gold top. Thanks for that tip. Tonefish says they currently have an offer to join the mailing list and save 20% on the order. So if any of you guys are looking at saving some money. Mark wants to know if anybody has tried the Mojo Tone 59 clones. They're super sweet, had them in a guitar but sold the guitar. I have the pickups still and I want to put them in something. So I've been very intrigued about those pickups, Mark. I've seen them. And I didn't buy them because they were a little bit on the expensive side. But I was looking at them at a certain point, didn't pull the trigger on them. So it's good to know that they do sound good. So now you have them and you want to put them in another guitar. So what's the issue? Are you running out of guitars? If you're running out of guitars, that's an easy problem to fix, buddy. Yeah, I would say definitely keep those pickups, put them into another guitar for sure. Definitely, I wouldn't attempt an acoustic guitar. I agree with Fat Philosopher. You have to have the skills, you have to have the techniques, you have to have the tools, and a lot of man hours go into an acoustic guitar. You would be surprised how long it takes to build an acoustic guitar. So I'm not confident that I'd be ready to build an acoustic guitar right now. Um, Quicksilver says the lampshade knobs, they're like 20 euros for a pack of two. Yeah, around there, right? 20 euros, so that's how many dollars? So it's like a dollar and a half, right? So you're looking at what, 30 bucks? 30 bucks for two. That's 60 bucks for four. Normally you need four. I don't know why they sell them in packs of two. So you're looking at what, 60 bucks for four knobs? Come on, man. Talk about being gouged. It's like, wow. And Cool Tune says, I love my Gretsch. Just always curious to find out if TV Jones will take it over the top. Only one way to find out, man. Take the plunge, man. Try it out. I mean, you have to do it. There's no way you can live with yourself and not know, right? So just put them in there and see. And let us know. So Mark confirms the PRS lampshades are 10 bucks a piece. They come in a 2-pack for 20 bucks. So if you need 4, you're dropping 40 bucks. Yeah, plus shipping, right? So I don't think the shipping's included. So it's probably another, what, 15 bucks for shipping or something like that. It's nuts, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. Jamel doesn't like changing pickups on his guitar. He's loyal. He sticks to what he's got. He's not tempted, which is good, Jamel. I honestly think that's great because honestly, you're saving yourself a whole lot of time and frustrations and probably concentrating more on your playing, which if we all would be doing that, we would all would sound better anyways, right? House of Twang says so many PFs, so little time. I agree, man. I agree. There's always something else that you want to try, right? While Fat Philosopher sees a set of PRS knobs for 90 bucks. 90 bucks. Wow. Crazy, man. They should be ashamed. You know, they're saying they want to create guitars for people that can afford the more expensive ones, but at the same time they're clipping you in 90 bucks for knobs. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say to that. Hey Bruce, thanks for the reminder. Thanks, buddy. By the way, guys, I just want to say, that if ever you guys are like, a guitar nerd like I am, you should check out this book. I actually got this book in a sale through pile. I don't know where. Oh yeah, it says HomeSense here. The book originally sold for 19 bucks. I ended up picking it up for $6.99. Sell through here. And it's a really cool book. It's called the Complete Guitar Encyclopedia. I don't know if I've shown you this book before, but it says history, learn to play like a pro, guitarist profiles, taking care of your guitars. And it's just it's chock full of really, really nice photos and information. I'm just going to randomly show you one here. Here we're talking Gibson ES 335s. They go in and talk about the guitars, talk about the models, talk about who plays them, refer to people like B.B. King, Les Paul. Of course, there's the classic Les Paul guitars here, and you can see a beautiful gold top right there. Really, really nice book. Awesome, in my opinion, just to have on your coffee table when you're bored. Just take a look at it and get some inspiration. Again, Complete Guitar Encyclopedia. Maybe you'd be able to pick it up on... you probably will be able to pick it up on Amazon, I'm sure. and it's a really cool book. Actually, apart from that, I wanted to also mention that there's another book coming out as well. I think it's is it Eric Clapton? Yeah, I think it's Eric Clapton that he's coming out with a book. It's called Six String Stories. And basically, the book is Eric Clapton reflecting on his career and all of his guitars that he's owned through the years. And there's great photos and information on all his guitars. Not that I'm a big Eric Clapton fan. I mean, I like Eric Clapton, but I'm more interested in looking at the guitars, looking at what he's had over the years, what's come and gone. He had a heck of a collection, and he sold his guitar collection. He's had auctions over the years, a couple of times, I think. And there's a lot of guitars that were given to him from other musicians as well, and he sold a lot of these guitars to raise money for charities, for different types of organizations. But it should be interesting to take a look at this book if you want to have another cool book on your coffee table about guitars. Just going to wet my whistle there. The other thing is we also lost Alexander Dumble. I don't know if you guys heard this sad news, but Alexander Dumble, obviously the man behind the Dumble amps that were legendary, has passed away. I don't know why I don't know how he died, if he was sick, if he was ill, if it was sudden, I'm not really sure, but he passed away just a couple of days ago. And he worked with many artists, so many people that own these Dumble amps. He made them one at a time. He made them specifically for the player. So he would actually, it's almost like going to a tailor and having a custom suit made for you. Apparently, people would say he would, you'd go meet him and he would listen to you play with different guitars and watch your technique and analyze what was going on through the amplifier, through his scope while you were playing. And through that information and watching you play and seeing what kind of dynamics you produced, he would kind of understand what you needed in an amp. And these amps sold for a ton of money. There's claims that these amps sold for six figures easily. People like Santana, people like Stevie Ray Vaughan, John Mayer, a lot of other people had. I think even Joe Bonamassa has a couple right now. And he also modded a lot of these amps. What people don't know is that sometimes you're looking at an amp that looks like something like a Fender, and it's actually not. It's actually a heavily modified amplifier. One example of this is Eric Clapton's amplifiers. He's got two amps that he normally plays in his backline that look like stock Fender amps, but his tech confirms that the amps that he's using were built from the ground up by Alexander Dumble to the specs, to the Fender specs, but in his way. So basically, you're not getting what you think you're getting. Like, in other words, if you're an Eric Clapton fan and you're watching these and you're like, man, that sounds great, so what I need then is to go buy one of those Fender amps. Well, what they're not telling you is that it's not really a Fender amp. It's really a custom built amplifier in a Fender shell cabinet. You're never going to get that sound, So, anyways, so now I wonder how much more those amps are going to be worth, considering there's only a handful of these amplifiers. Well, maybe more than a handful, but you get what I'm saying. There's not that many. And if you have one, if you're lucky enough to own one of those, well, the price just went up, So definitely hang on to those amplifiers. I'm unfortunately not lucky enough to own a Dumble. But if you are, or if you know somebody who is, either grab it before they realize it, or tell them to hang on to it. It's just amazing to me that, from what I understand, like, it would take him anywhere between a year or two or three to build an amplifier, once you were in the queue, he'd build it to your specs, and he would. It wasn't a question of having like very expensive components or anything like that. Apparently, he didn't have to use anything crazy. He would get stock components, Radio Shack parts, or whatever. It wasn't the component; it was just the recipe that was great. And apparently, people who own those amps claim that they sound 3D and they just sound wonderful. Unfortunately, I've never had the opportunity to hear a real Dumble, but basically it is what it is. There's a lot of companies that do make Dumble clones. Seriatone comes to mind. I know that Fuchs Technology, they have a few amps which are kind of like Dumble-ish. I would never spend that kind of money on an amp, but hey, if anybody's tried one and you can honestly tell me that it is that sound that you're looking for, and if that amp scratches your itch and you don't need any other amps after that, well, then maybe it's worth dropping that kind of money. For me, it isn't, but I know how crazy people get over tone. John says, yeah, I noticed huge difference in tone. I changed all my knobs now, and now my guitars sound great. My dog's snoring like crazy. You hear her in the background? You hear that? Man, if only I could sleep that well. Paul says, Tony, a Dumble was guaranteed to suit the owner for life. A guy that bought one used was entitled to a complete remodel to suit them. Makes sense, Paul. If you're dropping 50, 60,000 bucks on an amp, makes sense. And House of Twang says, handmade, well designed, and tuned amps like that can be incredible. They can be. It's still a lot of money, but I get it. I totally get it. Leo hears my dog. Yeah, she just moved, so maybe she'll stop snoring. So guys, what else do you have on the horizon for any kind of gear? I'm just wondering if you guys are hanging on to your pennies now and just waiting to see if there's going to be anything interesting coming on the pipe, or if you guys are looking at just not spending money on gear anymore now because maybe you got what you need. I'm always looking for new things, and I'm always looking to see what's coming down the pipeline. But so far, there's nothing too crazy that I'm after beyond the compressor pedal that I've been talking about. I should be able to go pick it up today, and if any of you are interested, I think I'm going to end up going with the Keeley just because I ended up finding one that's not too far away, used. It looks like in good condition, and the price is right. So I'm probably going to end up going for that. Oh, and I wanted to share something funny with you guys, just in case you didn't hear about this, because it blew me away when I heard about this. I don't know how often things like this happen, but apparently police are searching for a man who stole an $8,000 Gibson Custom Shop 59 Les Paul by cramming it down his pants. And this individual was captured on closed caption TV, right? And he took the guitar and he like kind of took it and stuffed it in his pants, and then just wrapped his jacket around it and walked out. And I forget the store. I don't know if this was Guitar Center or I'm trying to. No, it's actually in Canada. It's Cosmo Music in Richmond, Ontario, Richmond Hill, Ontario. So he just walked in, he put the guitar in his pants. This happened in December of last year, I think. And he just walked out of the center with it. And I'm thinking, if they're selling 59 Les Pauls, obviously these guitars are not cheap. You would think they would have those little tags on them, that would ring when you walk out the door at least. And wouldn't it be odd to watch somebody walking out with a guitar stuffed in his pants? I mean, he's got to be walking funny. So what are those guys doing in the shop? I mean, what are they looking at? Yeah, and exactly. Maybe, and if the headstock didn't break off while he was trying to walk out with it, maybe he deserves the guitar. Good on him. I don't know, but I think they're still looking for the guy. It was just funny when I came across that. I'm like, holy mackerel! Like, you gotta have balls to do something like that and not expect to be caught. And I'm actually even more surprised that he wasn't caught. So the people in the store probably got in a whole lot of trouble. But who knows, man? Who knows? I just wanted to share that with you because I had a chuckle when I heard that. Couldn't believe it. Maybe these days they walk in with big jackets and puffy pants and whatever. And apparently, the funniest thing is that as he had the guitar in his pants, before he even walked out, he was looking at some other guitars just to make it not look obvious that he was just going in and taking off. So it's like, interesting. Crazy stuff, man. I think what sorry what Ben says, been wanting a Gretsch 5230T with Bigsby in Cadillac green. Might be pulling the trigger pretty soon. Cadillac green, that's cool. That's going to be a cool color. And where are you looking at buying that, Charles? Is that going to be used, brand new? You're buying it direct from a shop? House of Twang says Cosmo has nice guitars. Well, they have one less nice guitar right now. And Quicksilver says, I've seen footage of a lady in the UK doing the same. So maybe these guys are learning from one another. Maybe they have like a little YouTube channel where they're sharing tips on how to get a guitar down your pants. Fat Philosopher is thinking of getting a Fender made in Mexico Strat and upgrading the crap out of it. Also hunting for a lefty Schecter. I mean, typically they're great modding platforms, the made in Mexico ones. A lot of them, 2009 Mexican Strats are becoming quite sought after. They're the model that were being manufactured when John Suhr was still there, before I think he ended up being the head of the custom shop. And people feel that those 2009 models were specifically well made, and people are looking for those now. So if you end up finding a 2009 model, something around there, you can definitely upgrade it. But when you say upgrade the crap out of it, there's not much to do beyond the pickups. What else would you want to do? Presley California Custom says, I'm building a commissioned custom tomorrow. Fiesta red maple neck with a beautiful rosewood board, Duncan's dark tortoise, gold hardware, hardtail, and it's getting plecked. Sweet looking, sweet sounding build. Are you going with a thin skin Fiesta red body? Is that going to be like a lacquer body, or do you go poly on that? What kind of, or do you get your bodies already painted, or do you paint them? Leo's looking for a new Charvel Pro Mod in white with dual zebra pups. Nice. I like the Charvels. I like the new ones. I like the roasted maple necks too. If you're getting a roasted maple neck, that's gonna look sweet. Tonefish says, I have a thing for nitro. I think they will either go away or become stupid expensive to get a nitro finish guitar. Yeah, I don't know how off. I'm sure a company will find a way to charge you more for a nitro finish. It's as simple as that. Yes, nitro does take a lot longer to finish, You got to hang that guitar for like 30 days before you can actually, finish building it. So it's a lot more time. That's also the reason why they're a little bit more expensive. They also are a lot more fragile. They get nicked and scratched and stuff a lot easier. So you got to be careful with those finishes as well. And nitro itself is not is considered carcinogenic in a lot of places. You can't actually have nitro anymore. Like in Canada, it's very difficult to get any kind of nitro finish. You can get a lacquer. It's not the same formulation than what they were using in the olden days, but yeah, I like nitro too. I like them. I find they age so nicely now. Um, Andrew says, I've been to Cosmo Music. You'd think they'd seen which car he parked in. It's not like the thief could have ran away very far. It might even be somebody that worked there. It might even be somebody that knows somebody that worked there. It could be an inside job. Somebody walks in and says, hey, pick that 59. I'll be looking at the other shelf while you do it. Walk out with it. And, whatever, I'll pay you a couple of $100 in the parking lot later. Could be something like that. I've seen all kinds of things happening in my lifetime. Jeff says we had a similar case in the UK a couple of years back at Peach Guitars. I think the lady put 2 PRSs under her coat. Man, must have been one heck of a coat. Actually, that reminds me, it actually, something like that also happened here in Montreal not long ago, and it was a very, very expensive guitar. I remember the actual shop closed down, but I think it was a custom-made acoustic guitar, and I think it was like, if I'm not mistaken, it was about $8,000 or something like that. And somebody did exactly the same thing. They walked in, they took it and walked out. Bruce says, I had an opportunity to play a Dumble, sounded great, but in my opinion, if you were playing a live gig, no one in the crowd would know the difference between that and a good amp at 1/20th the price. You're probably right, Bruce. I mean, I think it's more a question of feel than sound. You're probably right, but if you're a cork sniffer, like we like to say, and you have the money, why not get the best, William says, I had a friend back when I was a kid do that with a Parker Fly back in the 90s. He was a knucklehead. Oh, boy. People risk getting arrested for stupidities. I don't know. Yeah, they did have cameras, John. That's how they caught him. He was on closed caption camera. Charles says, torn between new and used, looking for a deal. Yeah, I'm always looking for deals, Tom. I say take it easy, wait, and see if you can get a deal. Sometimes they pop up, man, just like this one. I wasn't expecting to have this one today, but came across an amazing deal and snagged it up. I'm sure now with these COVID masks, easier to do this. Cameras would be almost useless. Yeah, it's actually true. I actually, at the beginning of COVID, I was walking into my bank to do some business with them, and I felt so weird. I'm like, this is like one of those extremely rare times you can actually walk into a bank wearing a mask and nobody flinches. So I'm sure shoplifters today, are having a field day. It'd be interesting to know at the end of COVID how much more shoplifting took place in the last 2 years overall in stores because of the fact that you can walk in with a mask. I'm sure it's going to be staggering. BC Rich says that the USA Geddy Lee bases are really much nicer than the Japan and Mexico models. The neck in the US has graphite stabilization rods, and the imports don't, and they're prone to neck bowing. Okay. Interesting. I didn't know that about the bases. I would have thought that the construction of the neck with the truss rods would have been more or less the same, but I guess I stand corrected on that one. Fat Philosopher says Vega Tram. So you want to Vega Tram your Mexican made in Mexico Strat? Be a cool option for sure. It definitely would be an improvement, a big one, in my opinion. DMAX says played a nice Vox AC10C1 yesterday. Sounded great, easy to use. Might be too loud though for my situation. Maybe flipping a coin on it later. Yeah, I've never owned a Vox yet. So that's one thing. I've never owned an SG, Gibson SG. Never owned a Vox. There's a couple of things that I've never owned. Never owned an Epiphone until today. There's an Epiphone right there. So I'm slowly crossing off a few things off the bucket list there. And never say never. I came really close to pulling the trigger on a Vox at one point. I was about to get a beautiful Vox combo used, and great deal. The guy was like definitely like selling it below market cost. Had called him and he was saying, hey, sorry, dude, there's already somebody coming to pick it up. He's like, but if you can get here before he can, it's yours. So I jumped in the car, ran over there as quickly as I could, rang his doorbell, and just as I rang his doorbell, somebody was walking out with the amplifier. And he came out on his balcony and he waved at me and was like, sorry, dude. And I'm like, hey, it's all good. The guy got there before me, and the best man won in that scenario. But hey, it wasn't meant to be. Like I was saying earlier today, if it's meant to be, it'll happen. If it's not meant to be, it won't. So that particular deal wasn't meant to be. So I have no remorse or hard feelings on that. Leo says that's why they would have to rely on exterior cameras to get their license plate as they leave. Yeah, these guys, I know, they know what they're doing, right? They're not going to park in the parking lot so you can get a picture of their license plate. They know how to, there's probably somebody else waiting in the street there with a getaway car so they can easily jump in and leave. And yeah, is that a guitar in your pants or are you just happy to see me? Exactly. So Presley, California Custom says XGP Poly comes ready to go from GFS, about $100 with shipping. So you're using GFS bodies, Presley? I've heard a lot of people complaining about those bodies, saying that there's issues with them or whatnot. They're not always routed properly. Sometimes the neck route is a little deeper or shallower or whatnot. So what's your experience with those guitars, those guitar bodies? Leo says he saw a bunch of Dave's Fun Stuff videos where he deals with warped Mexico and Japan Getty necks. So it's USA or bust for me. Well, I guess, if you're dealing with a neck on a bass, those, the bass strings are massive and they're definitely causing a lot more pull on the neck. So definitely, and the neck is longer, so there definitely more chance of a neck warping in that particular case. So I could see that being an issue if they're skimping on quality. So yeah, in that case, maybe it is better to go USA or bust. You don't want to take a chance, right? And have problems down the road. Randy says he's building a bass, bass 4 or baritone. I'm using a Fender Powerhouse Strat. Any replacement neck deals that you know of? My best deal is $300. I want less. Have you? I don't know if Music Craft makes bass necks or not. I know they make guitar necks. But as far as bass necks, I'm not really sure. I'm not a huge on bass parts. Not that knowledgeable on where the best places would be to get a bass neck because I'm not a bass player. But if anybody here knows, please let Randy know if you have a good source for that. Fat philosopher says just because it's old doesn't mean it's good. Nitro should be phased out. I think nitro in terms of health issues should be phased out, especially for the people spraying the stuff because it's definitely not good for your lungs. But if you do want to get that relic look or that road worn look, it's almost a must. You can't get that look with poly. It doesn't look the same at all. So people that are really into those old nitro bodies, they're usually into it because they like the way they age. Larry's looking for a PRS S2 standard with 24 with the wide thin neck if it ever hits the stores. A lot of people are not looking for the wide thin necks. They're looking more for the regular profiles on the necks. I'm not a big fan of the wide thin. I like the chunkier necks. And Andrew says, I heard of a guy who stole a PRS from Long and McQuaid by putting it in their hard shell case. So what? He just walked into a case, walked in with a case and filled it up and walked out. Wow, makes sense. But I would think that would be a red flag if somebody walks in with a guitar case. Wouldn't they say, "Sir, can you please put your case behind the counter" or something like that? Somebody was sleeping on the behind the wheel that day. BC Rich says, "I want someone to steal an Iron Bird or a bitch that way. Maybe a Flying V or Explorer." That's the thing. The ones with the huge headstocks, those massive headstocks are not as easy to stick down your pants. That's absolutely true. The Flying V probably would work because it's a pointy thing and would probably slide in the your pants pretty easy in terms of a headstock. House of Twang says, "I like quirks." Oh, guys, you guys crack me up, man. BC Rich says, "I don't own any nitro finish instruments, but I can't see that that's really as essential to the instrument's tone as many people claim it is." I don't know if it really is I don't want to get into the tone issue or discussion. I know a lot of people claim that nitro, because it's thin, is going to make the body breathe more or whatever. I mean, yes, it is thinner. The poly is, almost like dipping your guitar in a vat of plastic. It's that thick. So does it make an actual difference with the tone? I don't really know. But for me, it's not a question of tone. It's more a question of look or wear. And Presley also says, "Steer clear of the Geddy Lee." Interesting. Fat Philosopher says, "I think people buy nitro because they want to wear off eventually. I just can't get my mind around that." That's exactly it. You hit the nail on the head, Fat Philosopher. Yeah, it's just wear. It's like buying jeans. When the jeans are brand new, they're a little stiff. They're not as comfortable. As they get worn in, they feel really good. And it's the same with those guitars. Same thing. It's not for everyone. Some people just don't like that, and they want to keep their guitars pristine. Other people just like the feel. Hey, Hobo Bob, nice to see you, buddy. Green Rumor says, "I have noiseless pickups on my American Strat. They sound great to me. Would it be worth going with vintage or Texas?" Well, I mean, if you're really a stickler for getting rid of any kind of noise, then definitely stick with the noiseless. My opinion, I never bonded with the noiseless pickups. I don't mind having noise, as long as I get the squawk from my Strat. I prefer to have that tone than to lose that and have no noise. Um, there's so many great pickups in terms of the single coils, that I wouldn't just limit it to either one, like just the vintage or the Texas. There's so many great sounding Strat pickups out there. Don't limit yourself to just those two. I would say try as many Strats as you can with different pickup configurations till you find the one that you like. And you might be surprised that they just sound so different. Um, I like the vintage ones. I think the vintage do sound good. But in another guitar, I have some Texas pickups as well, which gives you a little bit more bite. So it depends what you're looking for. Ideally, it would be something in between those two. Hey Rico, thank you, buddy. Rico says he's heading out the door with his kids, heading to Barrett Jackson auction. All right, don't spend too much money. Good luck. Mark says, "Hey guys, I bought an Epiphone 1959 last week. Awesome guitar. Congratulations, Mark. Welcome to the Epiphone Buyers Club. I just bought this one yesterday, and it's also an awesome guitar. Love it." Gear Junkie says, "Guessing retail theft doubled over the last 2 years. I spent 20 years rotting in retail. Yuck. Mortgage servicing isn't much better." Yeah, man. It's not easy. Eh? I think there's a lot of people struggling these days, and trying to get by and working the 8-hour shift just to get home and be able to play guitar. I know I'm one of those. Tonefish responded to Paul saying, "I have an Eastman E10 SSV with hand rubbed lacquer. It's crazy cool." And House of Twine confirms the MJT aged bodies are great. Um, MJTs, I've been eyeing those guitars for a long time. They have some really nice ones. I find that the ones that are a little bit too relic seemed overdone. I mean, honestly, they're just, some of them are just like, it looks like they were dragged behind a car. But if you go with the ones that are lightly aged, excuse me, guys, the lightly aged ones, they look really good. Unfortunately, they, unless they've changed the way they sell those guitars, I know they were selling them on eBay. They would always sell them as an auction, and they would rarely have them as a buy it now. So you're looking at well over $300 for any of those guitar bodies, including shipping and handling and stuff, which to me is a little expensive. But maybe you guys, if you're looking at that particular look for a new guitar build, they're hard to get unless you know how to do it yourself. So definitely, if the case is that you can build that yourself or paint it yourself, and not everybody has the skill or the time or the place to do that, that's pretty much all you're going to be able to get. So yeah, check them out. MGTs, the guitars, really good. They have some guitar bodies that are really amazing. The three-toned sunbursts, which are aged, look awesome. Bruce says he bought an XGP body for a Strat build. Finish and routing were perfect. Great. Okay, because maybe they up their game. Maybe they have a new source for their guitars, where in the past maybe they had another company making them for them. I know that if you do search for those bodies, there's a lot of people that were complaining about the quality of the builds at one point. So maybe they've taken care of that. And Gear Junkie says Charles just looked on MF Musician's friend. There's a few dark red and black with Bigsby for 450-ish. There you go. And Quicksilver says Stratosphere Parts carry some, and they also sell all parts licensed Fender necks. Maybe WD. Yeah, perhaps. Those are the ones that I normally go for in terms of guitar parts. You can also try out Warmouth. I don't know if they carry. I think they do carry bass necks, and they would probably be able to build it to your specs as well. So that's another place you can look for a neck. They're not going to be cheap, but you're going to get exactly what you want. House of Twang says Tonefish number 1 is an MJT body with an all parts neck. The vibrations that guitar makes, and it came with a Virgil Arlo 54 in it for a great deal. There you go. Yeah, we got confirmation. Lempu says, why the heck guitar luthiers charge so much? Well, it depends on what you're asking them to do. Typically if you're asking them to do a fret level or a fret redress, that's going to charge. They're going to charge you a lot because it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time and effort. If it's just a neck adjustment or something like that, they shouldn't be charging you that much. So I don't know what your normal. What do you think is so much, Lempu? Just let me know, just so I can gauge what you're talking about. See if you're being taken for a ride or not. Paul says Eastman also does French polish, which is really just hand rub multi-coats of shellac that they put on their violins. Their best violins sell for $64,000. Holy mackerel! You can do a lot of rubbing for $64,000. Presley says the finished are fickle. They are prone to chipping if you don't use brad point bits and chamfer. You also need to scrape the neck pocket for a perfect fit. Some pickguards need fitting good quality though. Okay, so that's cool. That's good to know. I mean, the finishes you have to always be careful with the finishes, I think. And a little scraping is okay if it's a tight fit. I really hate when the fit is so precise, you slap it in there and it just cracks. You always have that crack along the edge of the neck. So many guitars have that crack, and it's due to just the fact that the pocket is just too tight, and you're squeezing in the neck, and over time it just expands a little bit and it cracks. Good point. House of Twang says a good luthier is far more skilled than your mechanic who charges more. Yeah, if you think of it that way, I guess so. Yeah, I saw the Hydra. I saw the Steve Vai Hydra. Interesting guitar. I don't know where you're going to get a case for that. I don't think. I mean, that's like, to me, it's like those the concept cars, They look cool. They're not practical. Nobody's ever going to buy one, So unless you're a big Steve Vai fan and you just want to take one of those things and hang them on your wall, are you really going to be playing that guitar? I don't know. Yeah, I think it's only a small quantity that they're making. It's just to show that they can, Lempu wants to ask, I just wanted to ask if the Strat replacement necks with the truss rod at the bottom would fit any Strat body, or do I need to make a small cavity? No, they typically fit any Strat body. The only thing is that whenever you have to adjust the neck, you have to pull out the neck, which is not practical. And unless you're a stickler for, vintage specs, I would highly recommend you buy a Strat neck that has the truss rod adjustment here. Now we're not talking about any neck that has the truss wheel adjustment. I'm talking about a truss rod now. If you have a truss wheel, like in the Charvel necks, you definitely have to make a small cavity in there to fit. So just make sure we're talking about the same thing here. Dave says nitro has nothing to do with tone. These days you can get the same aging finish using better earth-friendly products. I assume you can. I mean, I'm not familiar with all the products in the market and which ones would typically give you the same wear. But I'm sure, yes, there probably is better options that possibly even dry quicker. I'm just not up to speed with all the latest technology and products when it comes to painting. Paul says, I had a long talk with Trev Wilkinson. Everything on guitar makes a difference but finish. Wood, etc. only by a couple of percentages. Pickups make a big difference, followed by the bridge. That makes sense. That really makes sense to me. I would assume the pickups, is like that's what's generating a large percentage of the sound. Wood, I would assume, does make a bit of a difference, and the bridge for sure, because the strings are vibrating from here to here, right? And anything that changes that vibration would for sure make a huge difference. I mean, if you switch, a bone bridge to a plastic bridge or some other material, you hear the difference right away, and that's an acoustic guitar, and I'm sure the electric is exactly the same. And BC Rich says Paul Leonard's statement seems to make sense. The finish might make a tiny difference, and that matches a similar statement that Neil Mosher made about the sustain in different guitar designs. Yeah, I mean, if anybody can tell me, what kind of paint is on a guitar by listening to it, I'd be amazed. It's not going to make a difference. And once the drummer kicks in, what's the difference? That's what I always say. So don't worry about the minutia. And Green Rumor says, I also picked up a couldn't pass it up deal last month. Black Epiphone Les Paul Standard for $250 US. And it's a fantastic guitar. I assume so. I mean, 250 is definitely too good to pass up. I would have grabbed it too. So congratulations on that great deal. Jeff says, I've seen a couple of tools that that do the body end adjustments. Sure do a sawn-off Allen wrench, and I've seen one for a slotted screw type as well. And Green Rumor says, I did the ombre with Angelus leather dye and the True Oil Gunstock oil for the finish, and it looks great. I've done body builds with the Angelus dyes too. They typically come out pretty good depending on the type of woods that are used on the build. I notice whenever you have a guitar build that is, if you have a laminated top, a very thin laminated top, you got to be super careful, because if you want to do the Angelus leather dye thing and you want to make the grain of the wood pop, you have to sand it back a few times. And if you're using a laminated top, you typically will almost always blow through the lamination. So you have to be really, really careful when you're doing stuff like that. But yeah, I've tried that. As far as the gunstock oil finish, I'm not a big fan of that, because I found that it takes a lot of time to actually rub that in properly and get it to harden properly. I'm okay with poly, honestly. I've done lacquer. The cool thing with lacquer is that it does blend into itself. So no matter how many coats you put in, they kind of blend into themselves, so that you avoid having like drips and little specks and stuff like that you have to buff out. But poly is easy, it's fast, it dries really quickly, it's hard, it doesn't feel sticky. I'm okay with that, you know. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up. I've been talking for an hour and 15 minutes. I was intending to go for an hour. So I want to just wrap it up this weekend. And once again, thank everybody from the bottom of my heart for your condolences, and for everyone sending really nice messages. I really do appreciate it. I think we have a fantastic community here of not only guitar nuts, but definitely great people with their heart in the right place. And I really appreciate that. And I appreciate you guys tuning in religiously on Sunday to just shoot the shit and have a bunch of fun talking about guitars and gear and whatnot. And if you guys spread the word and invite other friends, even better. I love to see the number of people attending these live events grow. It's been slow and steady, but I do appreciate that. And please do tune into the videos that I'm going to be putting out this week as well. And if everything goes well, we'll be seeing each other again next Sunday. And I look forward to spending another hour or so with you guys talking about gear. Keep all your questions, get them ready for next week. And I do enjoy the back and forth conversation that we have. And I always enjoy and welcome great questions when it comes to gear. So that's it for now, guys. Thank you very much. Have a great week. And tune in next week for show number 99. All right? Take care, guys. See you soon.